Hi, I'm Frank Sesno, your host on Planet Forward, coming to you from our studios at the George Washington University in the heart of Washington, D.C. One of the unique aspects of Planet Forward is that we take your ideas, be they in video form or in words, things you've submitted to Planet Forward, and we pass them by decision makers, people in positions of power and influence, to see what they think of the idea, how informative, how interesting, how persuasive it is, whether it can actually shape the debate we're having on climate change and energy in this country. We did this recently at a remarkable event here, where we talked about the future and the prospects of climate change legislation as that legislation is snaking its way through the process here in the nation's capital. The video about wind. The response might surprise you.
Through the 80s and 90s and this decade, farming has been very, very tough. Roscoe had declined for the last 50 years. We lost our Dairy Queen about 10 years ago, and we knew we were in trouble then, because that's a mark of a surviving community, I think. It's the same situation that's happened all over rural America. But with the wind energy industry coming to this area, now we have young people returning to Roscoe from college, staying here out of high school, attending our technical school here and educating themselves on the wind industry and having permanent jobs available to them. It's a 180-degree attitude change in our culture around here, because we've always cussed the wind. The wind has been so terrible, it's so hard on our crops, but we're able to sell the wind. We don't own the wind, we own the rights to the wind. And it cost us nothing. And as opposed to oil and gas, we've got an endless supply. It's just an amazing situation for us that we're able to take advantage of. Finally, something for our area. We have a chance here of something significant happening for Roscoe, Texas. We can bring Roscoe back, that we can see some positive effects here, and we won't be totally dependent on our farming income here. Our horizons have changed. And these windmills not only are generating electricity and making money and offsetting, doing all the green good, but they're a symbol of progress, an effort to clean up our act. It's a really deep feeling of maybe we did something right. Every once in a while, someone will stop into this community and ask me, what are those big white windmill-looking things for out there? When it gets real calm and still and hot around here, that we turn those things on to give us a little bit of a breeze and cool us off a little bit.
Our UNC students are with us tonight, but we'll acknowledge their work. Dan?
Well, I really like that. Maybe a little too much film inside the fast food restaurant, but other than that, I thought it was good.
That's the part that's bad for your health.
Yeah, I didn't quite figure out how that fit in. I do like Dairy Queen though, so I like that part of the story. But I think what it illustrates is a really key aspect of renewable energy that we often lose sight of in the urban East, which is that this is a pathway to revitalize the rural economies. And Secretary Vilsack, Secretary of Agriculture, has really been outspoken on this. Of course, he comes from Iowa, where they've they've done this. I mean, Iowa's now one of the top wind producers in the country. I think people think about wind as something they did out in California, and they only did it in California because they had the sort of early policy push. It's actually not a particularly good wind resource state. Texas, Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, that's our Saudi Arabia of wind. There's a huge opportunity there, and this video does a good job of pointing that out.
What do you think, Kate?
I think this is excellent. This is two great things. It has wonderful characters, and it has people and an issue that young people and people all across America can connect with. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you in here are going to graduate soon. You're worried about jobs. Well, you know what? I think one thing we miss a lot when we're talking about the environment as, this vague thing is that there's jobs involved here. Last year, for the first time, there were more jobs in wind energy than there were in coal mining. That's a huge transition. This is really real jobs and real people, and I thought this video really connected that really well.
Anna?
Well, great substance, great style. I am originally from Texas, so
You don't sound at all like him.
well, my family's from Colorado, and I'm from the southern part of Texas. So yeah, the Texas good old boy talking about wind, gets me. But I think it also highlights what we've been talking about here is that there's no longer the fight between the economy and the environment, that we have to marry the two, and that's going to lead us to really interesting places in the 21st century.
I thought the whole visualization was great. It was great to see it at scale. A lot of people don't know how windy it is out in these states, and it's nice to get that feel. And I thought the choice at the end was very interesting to have the pump, Derek, with the wind in the background. I just really liked that touch because it asks lots of questions.
What the video doesn't tell us, though.
But that's where I was going to head
Go
next.
ahead.
Which is, so it's all great for that. And then what none of this tells us, actually, is people tend to select. And the issue for America is we have an energy system that's actually quite symbiotic. And what people don't know is when you do wind, you need natural gas to back it up for when the wind dies down. So what's our natural gas technology? How efficient is it? Wind is places where people aren't. So we got to get it, in some instances, to where people are. In other instances, we can create a virtual market to socialize those costs. People need to understand that. In large cities, you're still going to need, at least for the next 3 to 4 decades, base load power. And you're not going to get that in a lot of places from as much wind as we can do, as fast as we can do it. And so you need things like nuclear to displace coal and even natural gas, which is volatile. However, I would note that if you put it all together, if you put wind with solar, with nuclear, with natural gas, and a smart grid, we can manage a very different clean energy system and do it at a much lower cost. But it's like the musical Oklahoma. The farmers and the cowhands must be friends. The wind guys shouldn't be attacking nuclear. Nuclear shouldn't be attacking natural gas. Natural gas shouldn't be attacking efficiency. If you put it all together, that's a very different system than the fossil-based one we've got, and that's a good outcome.